Hi everyone, my name is Tiago and I'm one of the founders of a website called Tea Encounter. We specialize in pu'er tea coming from the Yunnanese region of China, and today we're drinking one of our favorite teas actually. This is the Chawangshu tea. We tend to press a lot of teas coming from the six famous tea mountains, and within the six famous tea mountains, Yiwu is probably the most famous, and within Yiwu, Chawangshu is the most famous tea. It's actually, I would say it's probably our favorite tea coming from Yiwu, and that kind of means that it's our favorite tea because we tend to really enjoy Yiwu teas and source a lot of Yiwu teas every year. So I like to mention, so Chawangshu is a tea growing area that comes from Guafengzhai tea village. And in Guafengzhai there's a lot of growing areas, but Chawangshu is the most famous. It's quite possible, I mean, nowadays people really try to distinguish which tea growing area it comes from. Even if you're buying from Guafengzhai, we already source, for instance, the Chaping from Guafengzhai, but it's still possible to find the tea just labeled as Guafengzhai. But if you let's say if you're a tea seller and you buy some Chawangshu, I would find it very strange if you labeled Chawangshu as Guafengzhai. And that's because Chawangshu is a really a popular tea growing area. So if you're a tea seller, you really want to show off that fact that this is coming from Chawangshu. Yeah, that's a bit of background about Chawangshu. I would like to mention also that it grows within the Guoyolin area. The Guoyolin area is a protected forest by the government, by the Chinese government, where you can't really grow anything, or even, I mean, it's even access is restricted. It's not like an area where you can just visit. Of course, tea farmers can do it and villagers can do it, but it's still like a restricted area. So yeah, I feel like that's important for this tea, and that's important for probably the best Yiwu teas, because I feel like a lot of these forest tastes that where the tea grows in are incorporated into the tea profile, and that's the reason why Chawangshu is so special, because of this kind of forest energy that you can get when you're drinking this tea. I'm looking at my notes. I hope you hope that's okay. Yeah, I also like to say that it's in terms of flavor profile, it's really a complex tea. It's not a tea. It's really difficult to describe, to be honest. But I would say that it's a tea that you start drinking, and it does behave a bit different than other Yiwu teas. So Yiwu teas are famous for being soft and sweet. Okay, you might try some Yiwu teas from really ancient trees, and they might be actually very soft. You know, it's not necessarily that they'll be like how can I say? I guess that's because I feel like they're kind of like perfect teas. They're very smooth, you know. That's that's the reason behind the softness, you know. They're very smooth teas, and they start very soft, and as you progress throughout the session, these kind of flavors intensify, and you have a really nice flavors coming. For instance, having a really nice huigan, really nice aftertaste. And Chawangshu has these characteristics, but not exactly like other Yiwu teas. And I wouldn't say that Chawangshu is a soft tea. I might describe it as a smooth tea. I would definitely say it's a sweet tea. I might describe it as a mellow tea, but it's an intense tea. Chawangshu is a tea that, since from the first brew, you will experience the flavors of Chawangshu. And at the same time, exactly as other Yiwu teas behave, towards the end of the session, you'll still be rewarded with a really nice huigan, a really nice aftertaste, really nice throat feeling. In the end of the session, this will be in the end of the session, or towards the end of the session. But it is a bit different from other Yiwu teas that start really soft. No, I would say that Chawangshu is a really tasty tea from the first brew. It just so happens that towards the end you have this kind of reward of a lot of fruits and a lot of flowers aftertaste that stays with you, sometimes for hours even. Chawangshu is a really strong tea. I don't mean by strong tea that how can I say, it's not like a bitter tea. There's no bitterness in Chawangshu. I mean, barely any bitterness, and no astringency in Chawangshu. It's in that respect, I would describe it as a perfect tea. It's not like a tea that still has some edges that need to be softened, for instance, with aging, which is something that some teas do require. I wouldn't mention that. I wouldn't. I mean, in all honesty, all Yiwu teas, I would say that they're fine to be drunk straight away. I won't say that all of them will not benefit from aging, but I guess I kind of see it like aging is a bit like it's not required. You might age Yiwu teas, okay? This is actually the one I'm drinking today. It's a 2020 version of Chawangshu. And it's really nice. It's actually, I'm very happy with where it is. It's already sold out, this version. But it kind of developed a lot of pine nuts, and some Yiwu teas can develop this kind of profile, and I really, really like it. Yeah, okay, so let me see if I missed something. I also want to say, it's in terms of texture, well, to be honest, this applies to all Yiwu teas. In terms of texture, with Yiwu teas, you can get some of the best texture teas in the whole Yunnan. They're very thick teas, yeah, which is really, really nice. Okay, I also want to say that in terms of Yiwu teas, I would say that well, first of all, I feel like Yiwu teas make you very talkative. They're very, very calming, very relaxing, a really nice, relaxing chi, relaxing energy. So yeah, that would be like a profile that I would probably, yeah, I'll probably think it's more like a wider Yiwu profile. But it is interesting how the Chinese describe it, or how the people in Guafengzhai describe Chawangshu. The way they describe Chawangshu is that it has some kind of warm profile, actually, which is a bit odd because teas, and if you know a bit of, I mean, if you want to, you probably already heard people describing tea as having some kind of cold energy, and that's what green teas and Yiwu Puerhs are famous for. But Chawangshu actually is famous for having some kind of warm energy or some warm feeling in your stomach. So it means that when you're drinking it, actually you can have some kind of warm sensations in your stomach. And that's what makes Chawangshu so famous. Well, I like the feeling of Chawangshu. I like the flavor profile of Chawangshu. But I guess like people do mention this to me that okay, Chawangshu is famous because of this warm feeling, but I guess on a personal level it's not what I find more special about Chawangshu. I think that the Huigan, this aftertaste of all these flavors that accumulate in the end of the session, then can leave you like a really, really nice, powerful aftertaste. And the feeling, the chi of the tea, the kind of like relaxing, happy chi that Yiwu teas have, it's really strong in Chawangshu. So yeah, let me see if I missed anything else. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Oh, I do want to mention in terms of storage. Well, a few years ago, actually, I tried some hot and humid stored Chawangshus, also some Wangongs. And I'll be very, very honest. First of all, I couldn't distinguish Wangong from Chawangshu. And that happens because all of these places, they're not so far away from each other. So that means that they share some kind of basic profile. And what distinguishes them afterwards are either their chi, their energy, but also like the high notes that the tea has. And so each tea growing area will have their own high notes. And I felt like this kind of storage kind of led to those teas losing a lot of those high notes, to a point where you couldn't, I mean, you could tell it's a Yiwu tea, but you couldn't tell if it's a Wangong tea, if it's Chawangshu tea, if it's Guafengzhai, well, Chaping tea, for instance. It was more like a generic Yiwu tea. So in that sense, actually, I think that for Chawangshu and for other Yiwu teas, you can consider in the first few years, if you want to retain those high notes, a dry storage. Of course, if you're a person that enjoys what you enjoy the most are like these Yiwu aged notes, maybe then you can add some humidity to kind of age the tea faster. But I guess, like the way I see the aging with a lot of humidity, a lot of heat, they're more appropriated or more favorable for teas that have some flaws in them, you know. And by flaws, I mean astringency, I mean bitterness, and you can kind of transform those notes into sweetness with a lot of heat and a lot of humidity. But on Chawangshu, you don't, or in Chawangshu, you don't really have those notes present. So I would argue that, I would recommend at least, that a drier storage is more appropriate for Chawangshu. It will allow the tea to change, and our tea has indeed changed since 2020. And you will see different sides of the tea. It will change, but it will retain the high notes that make Chawangshu so special. So, yeah, I hope this wasn't too controversial. Sometimes I feel like in terms of storage, there's a lot of, I guess there's a lot of one-size-fits-all kind of way of seeing it. And in the last few years, I actually, the way I've been seeing it is like, which tea requires which type of storage, okay? And in that respect, in regards to Chawangshu specifically, I would add even Wangong, Chaping, teas from the Yiwu area. I would argue that you shouldn't really add a lot of humidity if you want to retain what makes these teas so special. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this Chawangshu video, and see you next time.